Hosted in conjunction with Chris Media, the CEO interview series allows investors to hear directly from the CEOs leading the companies featured on Wholesale Investor. Enjoy the interview and reach out via the details in the description.
Hi and welcome to another Crisp TV interview. Today I am joined by Iggy Tan, the Managing Director at Altec Chemicals. Iggy joins us again for an update from Altec and to discuss any upcoming milestones as well. Thank you for joining me today, Iggy.
Thank you for having me, Sydney.
Iggy, you've come on to the show before, but obviously for those who aren't aware, do you mind giving us a high-level overview of exactly what it is Altec does and what value it brings to the market before we go into any updates?
Okay, well, Altec is an Australian-listed company. We've got a high-purity alumina project that is based in Johor in Malaysia, with the feedstock coming from Australia, kaolin. We've also got another project that we're doing a lot of work on, is the downstream process of using our high-purity alumina and coating it in graphite and silicon particles, which will end up in the lithium-ion battery industry. Very exciting work that we're doing there.
Absolutely, and we obviously want to get into details around that very soon. But at first, a bit about the price movement of Altec on the market. Now, we've seen a rally of around 98% as of recent. Can I ask, what do you attribute to that growth?
I guess there are two things. Obviously, we on the HPA project, we are now moving to the project finance of the project. So we're now accessing the green bond market, targeting about US 144 million. And in that process, we're also looking for the equity part of that project. We have quite a few mandates with groups looking for a joint venture partner for 49% of that project. So we've also last year commenced the construction of the Johor project to de-risk the project. We've now completed stage 1 and stage 2 of construction. So I guess that's the basis of it, but also a lot of our work, as I mentioned, applying that high purity alumina technology downstream to the graphite and silicon anode part of the battery, and very exciting results that we're seeing as well. So two of those are the reasons why we have moved on the market.
So thanks for that, Iggy. But so you've alluded to the use of alumina coating for treating silicon a couple times now. Can you tell us why this is so important and why silicon's so important, so to speak? Where is it being used? I think you've touched on it, but if we could expound on that, it would be great for the audience.
Yeah, so I guess if you talk about the future of lithium-ion batteries, as Tesla is probably leading the way with lithium-ion batteries. And they recently at their battery day announced they want to get below $100 a kilowatt hour of production costs. And something like 20 gigafactories around the world is their target. But what's the most important thing? They announced that they want to see increased use of silicon in their batteries. Now, silicon has 10 times the energy capacity compared to graphite. So for a layman's point of view, there are 10 times more sites that the lithium ion can sit on. So it will help with the energy density of a lithium ion battery. But if silicon is such a great material, why isn't it used in commercial batteries today? And basically there are two problems. The first one is that silicon expands 300% in volume and fractures. And the second problem is that the first cycle loss is close to 50%. In other words, it grabs 50% of the lithium in the battery during its operation. So these two problems are stopping silicon being incorporated in commercial batteries today. And there are a lot of companies around the world trying to solve this problem. Altec is using high purity alumina coatings, a very thin layer coatings, about 2 nanometers in layer thickness. And we believe we can resolve this silicon problem and incorporate it in the future lithium-ion batteries. All our work is done in-house in our laboratory in Western Australia, and we've incorporated this alumina coating around graphite as well as silicon, and we are now making cell batteries of this silicon graphite material, and so far is showing very promising results, very positive results, and we are now moving to the commercialization of the technology. So we have a pre-feasibility study announced for Germany, where we'll build this battery materials plant in Germany to supply the European battery market.
Iggy, let's talk more about that commercialization aspect. So obviously the science is obviously promising, and the technology extremely promising as well and proven. Can you tell us how you're going to line this up with your commercialization strategy? How do you plan to really get this into the market?
Yeah, a good question. So the size of the plant that we are proposing to build is 10,000 tons per annum of battery materials. And so essentially what we'll do is we'll buy graphite material, we'll buy silicon material, we'll use our alumina coating to resolve that issues that I mentioned, yes, and put it into a product and then sell it to the European lithium battery industry. Now, the reason we decided to build that plant in Europe rather than anywhere else is our belief that the lithium story is going to be about Europe in the next decade. I guess it's fair to say that lithium-ion batteries were about China, Japan, and Korea in the last couple of decades. Our belief is that Europe will be the story going forward, all driven from EU regulations of CO2 emissions. So consequently, yes, all the automakers in Europe have announced that they will go all electric by 2030 or 2033. So you, yes, won't be able to buy a normal petrol car in Europe. They will all be electric. And in order to service that market, something like 600 gigawatts of battery building capacity have been announced for Europe. Companies like CATL, BYD, Tesla, Freyr, Northvolt have all announced battery making capacity throughout Europe. And one of the things that is important is that the European Union has said they don't want to rely on materials coming from outside Europe, particularly Asia. They want all the battery production and all the raw material supply to be self-sufficient from Europe. And that's why we have decided to build that battery materials plant in Saxony in Germany.
And yeah, absolutely. And the advent of EVs and the uptake and the market adoption with EVs is obviously happening worldwide at the moment, even here in Australia. Obviously, EVs are at the forefront of these nations' environmental consciousness. Can I ask you, have some of the EV automakers have indicated interest in your technology already, Iggy?
Yeah, so we have a couple of NDAs with a couple of German automakers and some battery companies. We have a collaboration agreement with SGL Carbon, one of the largest graphite producers in Europe, as well as Ferroglobe, one of the largest silicon producers in the world as well. So we have good partners, and we're very focused on being able to supply this type of new product to the lithium-ion battery industry.
Iggy, it sounds like you're all geared up for an amazing growth journey, but can you perhaps allude to what sort of news flow can we expect, and what can prospective investors follow over the next 12 to 24 months, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of exciting news that will come from obviously our development in the laboratory. Our PFS, the results of the PFS. We've also talked about the project being a green project. The fact that we're producing anode material that has a lot of energy density means it brings down the CO2 footprint of the future lithium batteries. And that reduction in CO2 footprint lends itself for the project being a green project. And we are in the process of applying for accreditation for the green status with the Cicero out of Norway. And obviously there's a lot of news flow with that as well.
Amazing. Well, Iggy, congratulations on your progress to date and the exciting future ahead. And for those who do want to reach out to a representative from Altec Chemicals, we will have the details on the side of this screen. Thank you again for joining us today, Iggy.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.